Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Today's topic is exposure. This word has many different definitions and connotations. I'm going to read a few and then I'm going to tell you the spin which I'm going to take with this today. So when you hear the word exposure, it could be, I guess there's an element of vulnerability and risk, like you've been exposed, experiencing something or being affected by it because of being in a particular situation or place. So, limit your exposure to the sun if you want to avoid ruining your skin, the state of having no protection from something harmful. So there's a lot of, I guess, negative associations. On the other side of the coin, you have people that are influencers and like, hey, I'll stay at your hotel and I'll give you exposure, and just trying to get free stuff. Well, just trying to use their brand to expose someone else in a positive way. So there's negatives and positives. I'm going to talk about it in a really positive light today. I think exposure is really underrated, super underrated actually. And I'm working with a client at the moment where looking at how to redefine how people build their skills and capability. And there's a really old model. It's an old one, but it's evergreen. It's still around because I think it's still completely relatable. 70-20-10 model of learning. What this model is all about is, I guess a lot of people think about, if I need to learn something, I need to do some formal training. I need to do a webinar. I need to sign up for a university program. I need to build my skills through formal training, courses, certification. But what the model says is that, only 10% of what we learn is actually learned through the formal stuff. 20% is learnt through social learning, so who are around our peers, and that's what I'll focus on today. And 70% of learning is actually on the job while you're doing things. So I think as you listen to this, think about your own experiences at work or anytime you've tried to learn a skill, how have you actually learnt it? I remember leaving university and just feeling completely underprepared for consulting. Everything I'm talking about that I've learnt is actually been because I've experienced it. It's been on the job. Most of it has been through, conversations, jumping in, reflecting, stuffing up, all of that. So it's been that kind of exposure to experiences. But the exposure I want to talk about today, like I said, is probably the 20%. I don't think we lean on this enough. I spoke about mentoring the other day and how we need to rebrand it. What I think mentoring is exposure to someone that has experience in a certain field, but that can also disrupt your way of thinking. I think I reflect on the most pivotal moments of my life and the biggest learning curves I've been on. And it's all been based around exposure to what people are doing in their own lives and just being completely shocked because it wasn't in my worldview of how the world works. So some examples are when I joined Wicked Campers, the founder, John Webb, prior to working for Wicked Campers, I went to a Christian high school. When I finished university, I went overseas for a bit, then came back and joined a global consulting company, Accenture, and that was all about just following process and procedure. And when I joined Wicked Campers, John Webb was all about not doing that. There's no process, there's no procedure, there's no rules. And it just completely reshaped how I think about doing anything. What he taught me, and it wasn't formal at all, and it wasn't even through conversation, it was just seeing how he operated, how he responded to things. Being exposed to that way of living, not that I took all of it on, but I would say a fair chunk of it and how I do things, that exposure dramatically shifted my worldview. It just completely pulled me out of the paradigm of what you can do in life. And that a lot of times we're waiting for permission and waiting for other people, but John just showed you can just take that on. Another example is when I joined, this mining company, and in my first week there, so I'd been living in the Kimberley, I'd done a little bit of travel, just to New Zealand and around Australia. But I remember my first week, I was talking to my manager, Daryl, he was doing a bit of my onboarding, and Trish, our senior legal counsel, walked in. She's like, hey, Mongolia next week. And I was having this chat and it was so casual. I'm like, Mongolia, it sounds so exotic. Mongolia, that's so exotic. And they're just dropping it in as if it's just a normal thing to do. And that's what exposure is all about. It normalizes behavior that you think is out of your reach. Even John having a few Porsches and lending me a Porsche on my 25th birthday at Wicked Campers, that was a whole mind spin as well, because I thought a Porsche is just something completely out of reach, but he just let me drive it and it made it completely tangible. And that's why I'm a big fan of German engineering and that brand as well. The other exposure I love was when I joined a mastermind, and this was part of Alan Weiss's growth cycle. And yes, I learned so much from Alan, but it was more about the exposure of hearing what my peers were charging or doing for their clients. You can do that. That's what a proposal looks like. That's what your marketing is. It's whoa. So I just think, and this is where we get stuck within organizations, I think, is that because you've got people internally that maybe have, are bought into the culture and doing a certain way and on the drumbeat, but it takes someone, I would say external or outside of your operating environment, like someone to come in and just completely shake things up and just give you new ways of doing things. So for me, I think it's not exposure therapy. I'd say exposure learning, exposure mind shifts. I don't know what to call it, but for me, and this is a stupid hypothetical question, but if I only had to pick like one way of learning, it would be like just get exposed to people that are doing different things. I have to actively seek it out. I have a friend, he's taken up a new job recently. He's a former tradie, but also has a few side businesses. And he's with this new group of people and they're like, wow, you can actually have side hustles. You can do things on the side and generate revenue. They've never been exposed to someone that does that. And for them, that's like the biggest lesson ever. It's like, wow, you can actually do both things. You can have multiple streams of income. And it's as simple as this, playing tennis. And you might find a partner that you play with and you sort of settle into a routine. And then you might play someone that's actually better than you. And what I find when I play someone that's better at me in tennis, I actually step up and improve my game as well. So seek people out that are doing different things, that live life in a different way, and just hang out with them or just follow them vicariously, like subscribe to their newsletters, their podcasts, and see what they're up to, because it really just blows your mind what is out there. And you don't really know until you, and yes, like I said at the beginning of this episode, there's two sides to exposure. One is that risky, vulnerable side. The other side is open to insane opportunity and growth potential as well. So yeah, focus on that 20% and just start seeking out new people and get curious around what people are actually doing, because yeah, biggest growth opportunity around. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.